All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of What's What BR. Today we have Hollis Milton with us today, Superintendent, West Feliciana Parish Schools. Got lots of weight on his shoulders, but he managed to carve some time out for us today. How you doing, Hollis?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on today.
Awesome. Well, I can't appreciate it enough. You've got four schools, 2,400 plus, students and their families and everybody, kind of looking at you for decisions. We know we don't have all those answers right now, but overall, how are things? How's, staff? How's teachers? How are things going, for you guys?
We're excited because on July 10th, we're going to have a traditional graduation. We may have to limit seating, but we normally have it out at our high school stadium. So we're still planning on that. We're going to have it early in the morning because of the heat, but we hope to have a great time. And there are some initial plans to have a parade afterwards. So we're excited for the class of 2020, and we're going to try to do everything we can to give these students the recognition that they have earned and deserve.
Yeah, this class, I've talked to about a couple people, these guys, kind of came in the middle of a flood and they're going out. Somebody told me the other day, I think the math works out that, they were starting school, in the middle of, September 11th and, hitting a flood. And then now they're coming in, here on the middle of a pandemic. So that's awesome to hear, you guys actually be able to do something at the stadium.
Yeah, and I wrote them a letter the other day, and one of the things I explained to them is they're going to have some awesome stories to tell their children and grandchildren, and their children and grandchildren are going to come back to them and ask them, especially in other troubling times, and ask them, how did you deal with that? And I think that's going to give them just what we get from our parents and our grandparents to say, we've been through some tough things and we're resilient and we bounce back. And so this class can have that ability to teach all the folks that come after us a lot of great history about how we faced the pandemic and we overcame it.
That's so you mentioned it that way. I was talking with, some people the other day on the show. We were talking about how first it was in the school, it wasn't too long ago that the recent textbooks started actually having 9/11, into them. And it's like, we lived through that. We're living through, a pandemic. We're in history right now. People will ask, the stories, of what was it like. And I was thinking when this first started, I was like, who can I call, to get some advice or who? And I literally just sat there one night and I was going, there's no one, that has been through this. There's no advice, to get. We've all, kind of had to figure it out as we go on this thing. And so, but the one thing, we all will be able to write some really good books. We've been through tornadoes, we've been through hurricanes, we've been through pandemics, we've been through floods. It's amazing what we've all been through.
Well, and what inspired me to write that is I spent many years with my next door neighbor, and at that time, World War II veteran. And September 11th, I was actually teaching in New Orleans at that time, and I lived in Hammond, and I drove home, and everything is so surreal that day. There's no planes flying in at the New Orleans airport. And the first place, though, I'm trying to get to, I wanted to hug my wife, and I wanted to go next door and see my neighbor, Mr. Mervyn Avance. He fought in World War II. And I pull up, I walk over, and he is raising an American flag out in the yard. And that just inspired me. And I go in and I talk to him, and he goes, we've been through many tough times. We will get through this as well. And I think just his experience, his calmness about it, his positive attitude, his optimism, he had been there, done that. We will get through this. We need to honor those that we have lost, and we need to continue to unite as a nation. Inspired me. And so I hope that kids, that they can see that one day this is going to make for some stories that they tell others to inspire them through any challenges that we have in the future.
Absolutely. I grew up with my grandmother always telling me this too shall pass. So with that, so you've got, graduation, plans underway. You guys have got some incredible projects going on, I've heard, up there that are having to juggle in the middle of all this. I used to be not educated and think that the summertime was the downtime for schools, and nothing could be further from the truth. So you guys right now are planning graduations, planning, I hear you got summer school that's kicking off, what's going on there?
Absolutely. So there's 12 weeks from the end of the school year to the beginning of the next. And that transition is one of the busiest times because that's when you write your new budget. That's when you end last year's budget on June 30th. That's when you do all your staffing. And the amount of training that we do with teachers is in the summer. We're busy. They're busy teaching and learning through the year. And then we step back and say, what do we need to do next? We also, in 2 weeks, will kick off athletic activities too. So our schools will start to have weightlifting programs as we get a little further into phase 1 and potentially phase 2. So there is a multitude of activities to do. And when you work hard, you're working hard to create this vision that will come alive in the fall. So every investment that we make right now will pay huge dividends. And that's why we keep a clock on us to say, hey, we got a lot to accomplish, so that when our kids come back, they can be excited about us being well prepared to teach them the next thing they need to know, to put them in a facility that is safe, but also very clean, and to offer new programs and new opportunities as we do every year.
That's awesome. I heard a story over, Baines Lower about a garden, that started, pre-COVID. And you guys were able to kind of rally some troops and pull something together, there. What was, you get the rest of it. I didn't get all of it.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much for asking. That's an awesome story. At Baines Lower, this is a 4-year-old program, kindergarten and first graders. So very small children. They have a Place 60 teacher, Place 60 coach teacher, teaches them PE, teaches them a variety of other skills, but also brings them out and teaches them some gardening, which is an incredible thing because our kids get to get their hands dirty. They get to learn how to plant a seed and what it takes to grow a garden. And then we take all of those vegetables and we make an alphabet soup out of it. So the kids get to eat this, which teaches them so many things. And this year, though, we shut down. As you said, we had about 72 hours ago. Okay, shut down and figure out what you're going to do. Well, I can tell you the last thing that was on my mind was this garden. But my teacher was very passionate, Miss Lanya Mayer. She didn't forget about that garden. And so she made sure she went out there and tended it over and over while we were out. Well, she calls me a few weeks ago and say, I've got all of these carrots. And I have this idea that if I can safely get some folks together, we'd like to go ahead and harvest these carrots and bring them to our food pantry. And I was like, wow, what a win-win. West Feliciana is a community school system. We're a small, tight community. And the school system's the heartbeat of the community. And so there's a lot of moving back and forth. There's the community and the kids are intertwined. So what was awesome is we could bring these carrots to feed our community in a troubling time. So
that's awesome. You mentioned, on that, we all got that notice. I got a notice. I think it was that Friday when the schools and everybody, shut down. I got a text saying that it was, get ready. It's about to get real, before the official announcement came out. But what was that like for you guys? You've got everybody I've talked to, I've asked almost everybody on this show and pretty much gotten the same answer. We all have, hurricane, what's the plan when a hurricane hits? What do we do? If there's a fire, what do we do if our IT, fails us? We have all these plans as organizations. Nobody that I've talked to had pandemic plan. And you're going from, you've got 4 physical, sites, multiple buildings at every site, 2,400 plus kids, faculty, to deal with. And you get basically hey, we've got to shut it down and we're going to have to pick it back up again on Monday. But guess what? Nobody's coming to any of our whole ecosystem that we've built. We're not going to be able to use that. What was that weekend like, for you and your staff?
Oh, I tell you, leading up to it, we anticipated potentially that there could be a shutdown because we study and look at other districts across the United States. We're always watching trends, and we started to notice this. But even noticing it, it's still very surreal. We've never done this. Is this really going to happen? So when we get that call on a Friday, the governor is going to shut down schools. You're right. We go into this mode of we've got to meet with all our faculties at the end of the day. We started working that night. We met on Saturday and that Sunday to get ready for the Monday, which says, hey, we still got to teach kids, but we got to do it via distance education. which is a world that we only do at a small level, not for all 2,400 kids. We also need to serve them meals. We want to continue to serve meals because some of our students, that's the best meals that they're going to receive is what they receive at school. So tons of work in a very unprecedented time. And there is no experience in this world that you can totally rely on to do this. There's definitely not that we follow a textbook anyhow, but there's definitely not a textbook of how should a school handle a pandemic and a complete shutdown. So a lot of work, very stressful, but very fortunate. We have a very strong team. We're very connected with our families. So we knew we've got to communicate early. We got to communicate often. And we've got to start putting these plans out and working with our teachers to do the best we can to provide the best quality education despite being shut down. And I'm here to tell you, I'm very proud of the efforts of our entire community. We had many students participating, doing the work every day, working hard. The lessons the teachers were providing using Zoom and Teams and any type of virtual platforms that we could provide, we're doing that well and work very hard all the way to the end. So we're grateful that we were able to do as best of a job that we could, and despite the circumstances.
That's amazing. I think a lot of people don't realize that the meals that you guys provide, for these students, like I said, some of them it might be if they're coming and grabbing a breakfast or a lunch, that is their main, food that they're getting, and then. That's not when school shut down. That doesn't shut down. You guys have got to find, you're still moving and putting that together, for people. And, sometimes people don't realize that they say, the school does it. Well, the school doesn't do it. It's people. People are getting up, coming to the school, and putting that meal together, for those students, even though the school shut down. So.
And look, and I'm very proud to say this too. We not only cook the meals, for about 3 weeks during the shutdown, we actually put those meals on buses and hand delivered those because we knew some families, if they were working, it was not only that the child needed a meal, but how would they even come up to the school to be provided that meal? And then we transitioned over to another program that actually delivers meals to homes now through the mail system. So, and we're going to continue that system all the way to the end of June. So we've been very fortunate to be able to work very hard with this group who's providing those meals.
That's awesome. Well, look, kind of going through all of this, obviously nobody knows, what happens next. We're all, still, kind of working on things, but you mentioned you got the graduation, coming up, possibly a parade, which sounds extremely exciting. What's next? What is, where are you guys, we're talking, 11 o'clock in the morning, you've got a full day ahead. You're at the office, it's, plowing through, summertime's no break. What's that next thing on your list that's like, hey, we need to tackle this project? Is that where's your mind at on those things?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we're going to accomplish is an online platform for next year for distance learning in case of a shutdown, but also let's say we can come back in the most normal mode. We also serve students that are medically fragile, or they live in a home, maybe with a grandparent or someone who cannot afford to be exposed to this virus. So that's our big venture right now, is not only planning for a normal year, which we're hopeful that we can come back and do that, but also providing something on the sidelines of that to say, for a family who cannot afford to be exposed to this virus, how will we continue to educate them if they're not able to come back? So in the next few weeks, we will, about 3 weeks from now, we're going to unveil an online platform. We're working very hard toward putting all the pieces to the puzzle with that.
That's awesome. As you move, kind of through, this, you guys, didn't you have some projects, that were already, you had some construction, you guys were building. I'd heard some things about that. What's kind of the status, how are those things coming along still?
So we're excited. We have not missed a beat despite the virus and all the shutdown as far as our projects. We're going to have a brand new Baines Elementary that will be completed for the fall of 2022. That was always the timeline. This will be a state-of-the-art facility, lots of technology, lots of STEM, tremendous program. The reason we're building that new school is we've got many families moving here, and a lot of it is because of the quality of life, and that includes a great education system that I'm thankful to lead. We're also renovating our high school with a new freshman academy, a new career tech center. We're renovating our auditorium, which is a beautiful building that just needs some touch-ups. And then we're building a new gym. And one thing on that gym, which is going to be exciting, many people don't know that. Many people think of us because of our academics, but we're also very fast, which means we're good at athletics. We've won 7 state championships in the last 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And so we continue to plow through. Not only we want to be good at the academics, we want to be competitive in athletics. We want to continue to provide great art programs, gifted and talented programs. And this career tech opportunity, as we renovate this building, this career tech facility will be the envy of any rural district in our state, maybe as well as our nation, of what we're going to put together for our students who choose to go right into the workforce, but need to have those welding certifications or millwright certifications.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a lot of work. You got a lot of projects in the air. We've got, projects, we've got, schools, we've got, the kids, the faculty. There's a lot of moving parts. One of the other things you'd mentioned that you guys are working, kind of mapping out and trying to make sure that everybody does, doing some projects. You mentioned, some cell towers and looking at those kind of things. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we feel like we're venturing into the internet business, so to speak, and we've always played a part in that. But to really provide distance education, online learning to all of our students in a rural community is going to require a new Herculean effort on our part to really learn that game, know through maps where is the best provider in this area, so that if we had to shut down again, what we'd be able to do is we have enough computers to deploy. That will not be a challenge for us. We are working on purchasing enough Wi-Fi devices for our families. The challenge will be is in some areas, it's still a struggle just to get internet. So we're working on looking at cradle points to put at select public utility stations, such as a fire station or a church, so that we can get as close to a family out in a rural area versus them driving 5 miles. Maybe they drive a half a mile and get to at least a church parking lot or a fire station where they can connect to the internet to submit online work. So we're working through that. We're learning a lot, and we're grateful because our parish, as a rural parish, like many, struggles with internet, but there have been some major strides in providing more high-speed internet in rural areas. So we're at a good point right now where we need to learn where those latest technologies are. How do we communicate that to the public? And then how do we help even leverage that, which is great for everybody. Everybody wins. It's our venture for academics, but it could also help improve economic development. So we're excited to be a part of that venture because it's part of the quality of life of our parish.
Yeah. That's those are definitely, I've been down those roads on some of those projects before, and so that can be a lot, but that's amazing that you guys are taking those steps. One of the things, you kind of just said it in passing like it wasn't a big deal, but I think it is. You said you've got laptops. You were telling me before, the kids that didn't have a laptop or couldn't do anything, you're providing those. Here, take one. Do what you need, so it's not a burden on that family.
And we really have to thank our community. We passed a 1/2-cent sales tax several years ago to help provide for our technology department, one with overwhelming support. And what that allowed us to do is really to be ubiquitous about Chromebooks, or the latest, greatest computer, if you will. We use Chromebooks, and that allows us to provide those anytime, any place. And so our students always have them. We're a very technology-rich school system. And so to deploy these, it was a matter of doing a lot of work with filters, and there's some other expectations that you have to do to protect kids. But other than putting those programs together to distribute was our only tremendous challenge. So yes, we've been able to help all of our families, and if it comes in the fall that we need to continue to do this, we'll do that as well. And our summer school programs that will start next week are all virtual. And one of the neat things that we're doing with virtual summer school, many times Obviously, traditional summer school is about a student who's trying for credit recovery a grade that they didn't do well. We've actually said, no, let's go above and beyond, because many families, because of the nature of the shutdown, an additional 9 weeks of being out of school, would like for their kid to continue and try to figure out what prerequisite skills they need for the next year. So we're doing a lot of enrichment. So we're actually offering a summer school program to all of our students. And it's not even about credit recovery. It's just about, hey, if you want some opportunities this summer to continue to learn. And I think that's real valuable, because we are in this unique summer. All of us are dealing with this, where normally if you take a summer vacation, you kind of look at your budget, you pick where you're going to go, and you just go. Well, right now, where our nation is, that's hampering a lot of people's ability to travel. So because the kids have more time at home, us offering an opportunity where they can still get online and learn things and be better prepared for the next year, we want to take advantage of that. We recently did a survey. It's not complete yet. It still has a deadline of about a week now for parents to do. We had over 400 parents already choose to say, yes, I want to take advantage of this online learning this summer. And I'm really excited about that. I'm excited for my own children. I think it'll give them something to do. As you know, when you were a child, summer was really fun in the beginning. And then by the end, you were kind of like, I'm bored. I think this will provide some structure, because we've had an additional 9 weeks of being out, right? And I think for kids, if they're not getting to go to vacations so much, or they can't go see grandma because of the circumstances of right now, if it behooves the family and it works and the child's motivated, we'd love for them to jump on and explore some of the opportunities that we're going to do. And we're going to make it a lot of fun.
Well, I think it's, we talked with the library, system, and they talked about what they were calling was normally you have the summer slump, and they've been dubbing it, the COVID slide, that some of these, kids might back, down on. So I think that's awesome. Like I said, gives them something to do. How's y'all got jam-packed schedules, just seems like you've got a lot going on over there. Anything that we're missing? I know you've got a million things to do. Anything we didn't cover that maybe we need to, kind of get out there so people know?
Look, I always, it comes down to relationships. We are so fortunate. We're a tight-knit community. Like I said, our school system's the heartbeat of this community. We've been so fortunate to have so many honors. We start early with our kids. We make a huge investment. We offer universal pre-K to if you're a child in this parish, you have a seat in the school system. And part of all of those investments, we're an A district. We're always a highly ranked district. We recruit and get the best teachers. And so if anybody's thinking about moving up to the country, come visit West Place Shannon. It's an awesome place to live. I've been here 10 years, and I'm very blessed. I'm blessed to not only be the leader of this system, but I have 2 children in the school system. And I know how rewarding and how benefiting to have a strong school system that really looks out for every child. So.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time today. Definitely like to have you come back, kind of hear how some of these plans unfold, hear how things go. We'd love to bring you back, just kind of keep an update on what's going on. I appreciate all the time you gave us.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
All righty. Thank you, sir.